Howdy ho, everybody. Coming to you cordless from glamorous Minneapolis. It's Monday night, June 1st, 2026. I am Jim Peters, and welcome to another edition of Jim Peters at Night. This is episode number 353, if you're keeping score at home. And starting with this one, we're doing things a little differently. So we took a week off. So basically, we haven't done a show in 10 days. And I don't know what I think about that. It's like I'm almost more, I get tired, almost more tired not working than working. So although we were really working. It's just we weren't doing shows, and I'll get to that in a minute. But we're changing the format of this program a little bit from this point going forward. Up to now, we've been doing an interview and then a short monologue at the end, and we've been bundling all together just like it would be on TV, and stuff. Well, we know we're not on TV. That's the thing. We're not on TV, and we've been on TikTok for 5 months now, and it's been blowing up, and it just made me realize that when I start to watch stuff, the people like stuff short. So we're doing this program now in two separate parts. Up till now, until recently anyway, we weren't doing a show if we didn't have a guest. I just didn't want to do it. The numbers were bad when I did, so screw that. But now we're going to do it kind of topsy-turvy opposite, and that is I'm going to do a monologue every night, Monday through Thursday, no matter what, except it's only going to be about 20 minutes long. And the reason is because if we have an interview, we're going to run that separately at 9:30 p.m. Eastern. So right now we're running this monologue, which I'm going back to calling the Jimcast. We're running that at 9 o'clock Eastern, live on tape. And then we're running, if we have an interview, we're going to run it at 9:30 live on tape right afterwards. So there might be a break of about 5 or 10 minutes. Like tonight, we're gonna go. We gotta get going here because we only have a half an hour. Because now tonight we don't have a guest. I did this deliberately on purpose. Tonight we're going to do our first real live show on TikTok at 9:30 Eastern. That's TikTok only. And you can find us there everywhere at Jim at Night. That's our username. That's our username on all the services. That's what we got going on. So we better get right to it, huh? But I do want to tell you what we got coming up here. In the next, who our guests are going to be the next couple days. Well, first of all, one more thing too. I want to make sure you understand this or know about this. We're now running a live 24/7 linear channel, basically like a TV channel on YouTube of all our interviews. Not all of them, because this is the 353rd edition of the show, and we've done about at least 250 interviews. And we started taping them separately about a year and a half ago. So we have a good 150 that we can draw from. I mean, the first one, I put 22 up to start, and we'll be adding to it. And they shuffle rotation after they've all played. The next round is it's on a loop, but the next round is a different order. So you can literally just sit there and watch us like on TV. Not the Jimcast, not these monologues, because they're too news focused. But the interviews have much more lengthy value. So we got that going on YouTube too. And so, like I said, tonight we're doing a live show on TikTok at 9:30. We've done a couple tests. We've done a couple of them that we have not advertised or promoted, just to do it, because the technology, God, I don't know. You don't want to know. Really, you don't want. I know people go live on TikTok every day, but we're trying to do something half-as professional here. We are. So the thing is, and we are doing these live shows in vertical format. We are doing them in 9:16 instead of what you're seeing here. But I'm trying to do it reasonably professional. So we did a couple tests this last week. We did a 25-minute excuse me, sorry about that. 25-minute version and a 45-minute version. And so tonight we're going to do the first one we've actually advertised ahead of time. And usually now, not always, if we don't have a guest at 9:30, we will usually go live on TikTok. But I will announce that during this little uh, monologue show we do here at 9. So there's that. So what we got going on tomorrow night, Jennifer Oliver O'Connell, our old friend from Red State, that will be back to talk about all the stuff she's been working on and writing about. On Wednesday, we have Ella. God, I'm going to make sure I pronounce this right, especially because he's going to be a guest. Alejandro Martinez Arezia is going to be here. He's actually been in the news quite a lot lately. He's the head of the National Food and Commerce Union of Mexico, which is also called SNAC. And he represents the labor union down there. And they've been in the news recently about working with the United States and blowing off China. So we're going to talk to him about that. And Thursday, I'm going to announce this even though I'm not certain of it yet. I think our old friend Jonathan Lockwood, military historian and former U.S. Army colonel, is going to be joining us. He had a stroke recently, a couple weeks ago, very minor, I guess, but it did put him out of commission for about a week to 10 days. So I just got an email from him this afternoon saying he's back up and running. So and also we got the first thing we're going to talk about here is Iran, and I'm hoping that we can get him on Thursday. I know he wants to come on. We'll just haven't nailed it down yet. So and then we got next week, and then the next week after that, and all through the summer, man. So I don't expect to take any other than maybe the week before Labor Day. I don't think we're going to take any time off this summer. Other than a day here and there. Like for example, I know we're taking off Thursday, June 11th. I know that. But anyway, so we got to do this fairly quickly because seriously, because we can't have these shows can't overlap each other. They're two little mini shows where we used to do one major show. The Iran talks are back on. I don't know if you would follow this afternoon. The Hezbollah told Trump to go F himself, and he said, sure, fine. That's fine. We can do that. And then we're going to bomb the shit out of you. And then they suddenly change their mind. But the real story is that the Iranian leadership, now this is not new, but it appears, well, first of all, it appears that the president of Iran, this would be the political president, not one of the supreme leaders or a religious leader, that the political president of Iran either quit and changed his mind. It's very nebulous. The problem is, and the reason he said, supposedly they have a copy of his resignation letter. He said that he quit because the other political forces in the country, that would be the Iranian Guard, no one can decide who's in charge because it looks like the actual supreme leader, Khomeini's son, is either dead or completely incapacitated. What I have heard, based on everything I've read and talked to people, is that he is alive, but he's completely incapacitated. Totally. He's apparently severely disabled. So he's basically a non-functioning person. And so they're going about this trying to pretend that he's like exists. And basically, even though he may actually be alive, basically he doesn't. So, and the other thing is the people in charge of Iran, they basically they want to make certain they get their asses out of there. Some of them are, happy to be martyrs, and some of them aren't. And see, as you might imagine, because if this fails, these talks, and they will, I'm absolutely convinced that Trump is either stalling for time for us or he's stalling for time to make certain that he gave them every possible opportunity to concede so that it would look more humane. That's the only two things I can think of. I mean, I've said this before. I think they've been stalling for time from a military basis to get our ducks in a row. The more time we have, the more time we have to plan. Because at some point, we're going to bomb the shit out of these people. And they don't want to kill civilians. So, the planning has to be fairly extensive. That's where that's at tonight. I'm hoping that Colonel Lockwood will join us on Thursday, and we can talk about this before. I don't know if you've seen his appearances here, he's basically our military go-to guy, and he's very astute and very knowledgeable. And I love talking to him. He always knows something. I have to comment on this because I lived in Los Angeles for several years, and I still have family there. The primary for the LA mayoral race is tomorrow. And right now, it looks like there's a good possibility that Spencer Pratt will take either the second or the first spot. Now, the way this works in California, when they have these primary runoffs, is that the top two people who, uh, get the most votes, they go on to the actual election, unless one of them gets more than 50% of the vote, and then the election's over. That person won. They call it. The polling has been very, very odd, but I've been following the polling, and it appears that uh, a lot of these polls that are coming out are basically from left wing outlets, and I think they're ginning the numbers. That's what I think. I think Pratt's doing actually way better than they're giving him credit for. Although right now he's basically in second place. So I think he will come out of this either second or first, and I also don't discount the possibility he might get 50% of the vote on the first try. I don't think that's going to happen. I wouldn't put money on that, because like most blue cities, the LA is run by the Democrat machine, you know. But the thing I can't gather is that, especially as a former resident, and the interesting thing is Jennifer's coming on tomorrow night. She's a former resident too. She lived there for many years. Uh, it's things are so obviously failing, and then people say, "Well, you have this guy; he's completely unqualified. He's never been in politics." The woman running it right now is completely unqualified. She's a colossal incompetent failure. I mean, that's the thing. How could you? This is the reason I voted for Donald Trump 3 times, but the most curious to me was 2016. Why did I vote for Donald Trump? I didn't know if he was going to do a good job. I had no clue. All I knew is that the alternative is the person who was running against. I knew she was going to be a disaster. I knew that. So, let's take a flyer. That's the way I look at these things. I don't understand why other people don't either. Karen Bass has been such an unbelievable, unqualified failure that why wouldn't you just try something else? You know, but people don't look at it that way. And I'm like, God, she's an idiot. I mean, she was going on today. Her new talking point is about the fact, Spencer Pratt, was a villain on TV, and he's still a villain. Oh, shut up. God, you let an entire portion of town burn down, and don't make no mistake, it burned down because of the incompetence of that local administration. It did. There's no reason there couldn't have been fire trucks there fighting the fires, and there were. There weren't enough of them. There weren't enough firefighters, and there was not enough water, and that's why the whole damn thing blew up. That's the reason, and there's no excuse for that. There isn't. Not to mention, I mean, then Pratt goes on more about this than his losing his house, and that's the homeless situation, which is completely out of control, totally. And there's no excuse for that either. There's a book. Gad Sad, the philosopher, has a book. It's the number one on the New York Times bestseller list right now, called "Suicidal Empathy." And that's exactly what's going on here. Oh, we can't move those homeless people; they have nowhere to go. Bullshit. And not to mention the fact they're spending $1 billion. I can't remember if this was in New York or LA. They spent, like, 2 years ago, they spent $1 billion on the homeless, and the homelessness went up 12%. It's like, come on, this is crap. This is complete utter crap. It's unacceptable. So I don't understand, if you were living in LA, why you wouldn't vote for Pratt, even though he might end up being a failure too. He might. It's possible, but we already got a failure. So let's try something else. All right, I got to move on here. I'm watching the clock. It's terrible because we've been gone for 10 days. Okay, so I have to address the UFO stuff because that's been in the news. All right, while we're taking our break, the government released, actually, I think it was the day after we did our last show, if I'm right. That would have been 2 Fridays ago, if I'm correct. The government released another cache of UFO documents and videos. Uh, the one thing that's making the news right now is there's a couple things that actually, when some they weren't really directly connected to this release. Hal Puthoff, who I've talked about here before, who's one of the most eminent physicists in the United States and has done a shitload ton of work for the U.S. government, all sorts of different capacities. He went on a podcast a few days ago, last week, and said that he knows for a fact, even though he said he never actually saw them, but he knows for a fact because of people he worked with that we have recovered the bodies of at least 4 different types of aliens. Now that sent shockwaves through the entire country, but I have to tell you that's old. If you've been following the UFO situation for many years, that's old news. Uh, Clifford Stone, another guy who passed away, he passed away a few years ago. He said that we had contact with at least 60 different types of extraterrestrials. But I'm going to name the Puthoff was talking about. It's the 4 classic ones, basically. It's the Greys, the Nordics, the insectoids, and the reptilians, excuse me. And just the Greys are the little gray guy, little guys with the giant eyes. That's them. The Nordics look exactly like us. Apparently, they look like blonde Norwegians. And matter of fact, supposedly their only real visual, and you still can't really see it. The only real visual cue is that they only have 24 teeth. Apparently, um, Charles Hall talked about this, and I think even Puthoff, I think he talked about it too. That's it. Otherwise, they look identical to humans, and they're also apparently very attractive. And then the insectoids look like the praying mantis bugs, except they're 7 or 8 feet tall. That's fun. You want to run in one of those. And the reptilians, exactly pretty. They're reptile humanoids. They have tails and they have scaly skin, and apparently they're not that nice either. But that is so stereotypical to me. I have a hard time buying it. It's like, of course, the guys in the reptile suits, of course they're going to be evil. What the hell? But apparently this is real. I don't know. You know, the Norwegian thing I buy totally. The Nordic thing I buy totally, and the gray aliens. What's left out of this discussion is that the fact there's actually 2 different types. There's tall grays and short grays, and it's been widely speculated for years that the short gray aliens are actually biological robots. They are constructed by their overlords, the tall gray aliens, and they basically do their bidding. And so Puthoff was talking about this too. Now Puthoff knows way more than me because first of all he's brilliant, and secondly, he's been working on this forever. Unbelievable. Then there's a guy. This has been if you in the UFO business. This has been floating around for years too, but this just made the news because of all the stuff coming out. Guy named Boyd Bushman, and Boyd died in 2014 at the age of 78. He claims that he worked at Area 51 and that he worked with a bunch of extraterrestrials, specifically the gray aliens or variations thereof. And he has photos. So he showed Mark Patterson on a podcast shortly before he passed away. He showed him pictures. Now, I have to say, the pictures look pretty fake. I got to say, they do. There's people who say that one of the aliens prominent in one of the pictures looks almost exactly like a common alien doll. Yeah, and it does. I'll be perfectly blunt with you. The pictures look fake. They do. But he insists this is real. I guess, I mean, his employment in the U.S. Air Force, I guess, verified. So I mean, who knows? I don't think he got any money for this. I don't think he didn't write a book. He didn't. So there's also the possibility, and this is also the half-seas thing, but really you do have to think about this, about the fact that maybe the story is true, but he faked the pictures just to get some corroboration. I don't know, but there's that going on there too. And finally, and I am bringing this up because this strikes kind of close to home here. uh, in the documents that were released a week on Friday, one of the videos is from Anoka, Minnesota, which is the inner ring suburb right north of where we are in northeast Minneapolis. It's only a few. This happened only a few miles away from here, apparently, and this was on February 19th, 2025. The police were gathering in a local parking lot there. It's Anoka is kind of a small town. It's not really a bedroom suburb per se. It's an old community that just happened to be in the way the way of the urban sprawl. So it's an old city, and they have a little downtown there. That is also quite old. And apparently, the police were gathered in some parking lot of some old building, and they looked up and they saw this thing that somebody described it as it looked like a giant disco light. And they watched it for 90 minutes. Matter of fact, they actually followed it around town. They said the thing moved, and they got in their squad cars and they chased after it, and they filmed a little bit of it because they had to put the iPhone up to binoculars. And the film, like everything else, these films are terrible. I mean, I don't have to tell you, you can't see shit. I mean, and people, we're getting kind of tired of it, especially because supposedly numerous people said the government has crystal clear video of some of these objects where it's clear as day. But I've said this before too, and that is, if you if an alien spaceship landed in your backyard and the little gray aliens got out and came over to talk to you and you filmed it on your iPhone, no one would believe it. It's all AI at this point. So, and finally, I'm going to end with this here. So, at a Florida Taco Bell, the police had to call in because the guy was. This is they said he was running around with pants down and chimichanga out. And of course, I'm 12 years old inside, and that amused the hell out of me. This was in and also another thing, he had with him his pet fish. He had a pet goldfish in a jar that apparently he carries with him sometimes. And yeah, so he's at the Taco Bell. The quote from the one of the officers was that late night Taco Bell runs should end with a receipt and maybe a regret, but not a booking number. That's what they said. That amused me. Okay, so now if you're watching this at 9:00 Eastern, and you should, it's 9:22 right now. In 8 minutes, we're gonna go live on TikTok. My handle there is Jim at Night. That's my handle everywhere. And you can join us if you want. We'd love that. Tomorrow night, Jennifer Oliver O'Connell join us, and we'll talk to the primary for the mayor election in Los Angeles is tomorrow. So we might even have some results by the time we talk to her. Who knows? I want to thank you folks for watching very much. Please, I hate, everyone says this, but I'm going to tell you this too. Please like or subscribe to us. We really appreciate it, especially the subscriptions. I mean, there's stuff we want to do on TikTok that we can't because you don't have enough subscribers yet. So I'd really appreciate or follow us there. That's what they call it there. I'd really appreciate it if you did that. Good night, Uncle Donnie, wherever you are, and good night to you, wherever you may be. Hopefully, we'll see you in about 7-8 minutes. Okay? Thanks, folks. We'll see you later.